Good morning to all the students of Class 9. We had completed the lesson Reach for the Top. Our next poem here is On Killing a Tree, written by Gieve Patel. COVID-19 appropriate behavior. Students, there are 3 things you need to keep in your mind while moving out of your house. Number 1, wearing mask. Wearing mask is mandatory and you should not forget to wear a mask when you move out of your house. It's one of the most important preventive measure you can take. Second is maintaining social distancing of 6 feet. When you are going out anywhere, make sure that you are standing away from others from 6 feet. At least 6 feet you are away from the others. Third is hand hygiene. Always carrying a sanitizer with you when you are going out, and after coming back to home, before the entry, just make sure that you have a hand wash outside there. You can wash your hands and then enter inside. So students, these are the 3 things. If you adapt in your daily life, then there will be no harm to your family and of course to yourself. So I hope that you will follow these and have a good healthy life. This poem On Killing a Tree is written by Gieve Patel, where he explains the process of destruction of nature. The poem begins ironically describing the crime committed by the people. The trees, it has consumed the earth's crust for years and years. It has observed the sunlight, air, water, and has grown up like a giant. So, the tree must be killed. The trees getting killed, it is not an easy task. You must have observed people cutting down trees, but can they kill a tree? Is it easy to do so? Let's read the poem and find out what the poet says on killing a tree. You must have seen cutting down of the trees. You must have seen huge trees are being cut. What about the lower part of the tree? What about the root section of the tree? Even if you cut the upper part of the tree, these trees are being turned into logs and then carried away forward for further transformation or change into furniture or some other items made by the wood. But what about the lower part, the tree? What about that part that's being inside the soil that had taken hundreds of years to be there under the soil, and its roots had gone so deep inside, it is really difficult to bring the lower part of the tree out. A simple jab of the knife will not be able to cut the tree. From close to the ground, it will rise up again and grow to its former size. What happens that if the roots are not able to be taken out? What will happen then? These roots will again rise up and grow to its former size. It will again become a threat to man. So, the poet Gieve Patel here has described about how difficult it is to kill a tree. It's not at all an easy task to do. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown, slowly consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. Students, there are certain words here in the first stanza like jab. What is the meaning of jab? Jab means spoke roughly or sharply with rough instrument. Crust, it's thin shell on the outside of the earth. Then you have sprouting, spring up. Then you have leprous hide, belonging or relating to a or resembling leprosy. Leprosy is a skin disease. In the first stanza, the poet is telling a man that it is not very easy to kill a tree. A simple jab of the knife, even if you poke roughly or sharply with a sharp instrument or a knife on the tree, it will not going to kill a tree because it has grown. It has fully grown throughout the years by absorbing nutrition from the earth. Slowly it has risen out from the earth, feeding upon its crust. The tree rises out of the earth and feeds upon its crust. As it grows through the years, it absorbs sunlight, air, and water. The leaves are seen to be growing on its branches that have several layers of tough and protective shield, also called the bark of the tree. So therefore, it's impossible, it's kind of really difficult to kill a tree because it has taken hundreds of years to grow, and it's difficult to kill a tree. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. Now, after the cutting and chopping, hack means cut. After cutting and chopping these trees into pieces, this alone will not be able to do it. This alone will not be able to kill a tree. The poet says that these bleeding barks will eventually heal. They will be cured slowly and gradually. The poet says that after the chopped remains that is close to the earth, small curled new shoots will begin to appear again, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs. Curled green twigs means small thin branches, fresh sprouts. Miniature boughs, very thin branches, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. So here the poet says that thereafter, from the chopped remains of the trees, from those remains which are close to the earth, which are left there itself on the ground, there the small curled new shoots will begin to appear again from those remains of the tree. And he warns the man that if these remains are left unchecked, then it will again grow back to a big tree, back to its former size again, if left unchecked. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out. Here in the third stanza, the poet says, no, do not let it grow. He is telling this to the people who are very selfish, who don't let the trees grow freely. So he's telling them, no, do not let it grow. It has to be uprooted. Which has to be uprooted? The remains the remaining part of the tree, which is deep buried inside the soil, inside the ground, he tells to the people by means of his poem. He says, by means of his lines, he tells them that all the remains had to be uprooted from the earth that is holding it together. He suggests a technique. He suggested technique to the people how to get out the remains of the tree. He says that tie up the root, pull it out of the hollow of the earth fully and completely. Anchoring means securing the tree firmly in the earth. Just tie up with the rope and just pull it out. And then the remains of the tree will be out. Or pulled out entirely, out from the earth cave, and the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. Here the poet says that when the root is pulled out of the earth, pulled out entirely out from the earth cave is hollow in the earth, the strength of the tree exposed, and as soon as these remains are taken out with the help of the rope, we are introduced to the strongest part of the tree. And the strongest part is none other than where the tree originated, where the tree originates. That part which is under the soil, when taken out, it is moist and white. The source white and wet, moist and fair, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. That part which was hidden from us, the part which was safe from the humans, that part was quite white and moist and wet. That part was hidden and was under the earth for years and years. Perhaps that is why it is kept out of sight of the wicked human beings, because it is the most sensitive part of the tree. And if the poet says that if it would have been out, then the humans would not have left that part even. But the part was inside the ground, it was hidden, so therefore it was very moist and wet, and it was the most sensitive part of the tree. Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Even after you uproot the tree, you will not be able to kill the tree. When the tree is uprooted, the next matter to be considered is how to burn it. First, drying up under the scorching heat, under the sun and air. Then it goes through the stages of losing its luster and becoming brown and lifeless after getting scorched under the heat and air. Then it changes its color to brown. Then it becomes quite hardened. It loses its softness, its tenderness. Both the softness and tenderness is replaced by the hardness, because it becomes brown and becomes lifeless. And the unfortunate thing then crumbles and withers away to nothingness. And finally, after getting dried up, it starts to decay. And then finally, in the last stage, the destruction is finally done. The destruction is done at last. So this is how the tree gets destroyed, not in 1 or 2 days, but it takes months, even years. It takes years for actually killing a tree, for actually destroying a tree, and it's not an easy task. Trees take hundreds years to grow, and we humans, for our selfish needs, cut the trees, and then we use those trees, these logs, for our selfish means, for our use. So this is just the summary of the poem. In the next tutorial, we're going to be doing a lot about, we're going to be doing few more things about this poem. Till then, I would like you to go through this poem again, underline all the difficult words here, like jab, crust, leprous height, sprouting, curled green twigs, miniature bows, anchoring, snapped, sow, scorching, choking, browning, withering. All these words, underline it, write their meanings in their notebook as well as in your book so that you will be able to understand it more better. And think about what are the selfish means, or why do humans have become so selfish that they kill trees, that they try to kill trees, they chop off the trees just for their selfish means.